Can't Wake the Baby right now. Soul Not For Sale podcast or Coach Colin show. Just pick one. Anyways, guys, there is a whole rabbit hole to go down with this whole Usaid thing or USAID thing. See, it sounds like it's Usaid, and they play that little trick on you. We're going to get into what it is. Then we're going to get into what Elon Musk thinks about it. We're going to get into what Trump thinks about it. We're going to get into what's actually been happening in this government organization that is using taxpayer dollars to buy some pretty wild things. I'm going to show you some of that as well. And then I'm going to show you the Democrats who are outside of the offices of this place, trying to rally the people to defend this whole thing. If the people who were there only knew what they were defending and who they were aligning themselves with, I doubt they would actually be doing this. But let's just start here. What is USAID? It stands for United States Agency for International Development. Federal government agency that focuses on providing humanitarian assistance and support to countries around the world. On February 3rd, Elon Musk announced on social media that he and Donald Trump are working to shut down the organization, describing the agency as beyond repair. And I think he's right. And as we go through this, you're going to be able to make your own decision. Again, I told you we're going to play what Elon Musk thinks about that, and we're going to do that right now.
USAID is a bowl of worms. Mm-hmm. There is no apple. And when there is no apple, you've just got to basically get rid of the whole thing. That is why it's got to go. You know, it's beyond repair. None of this could be done without the full support of the president. Actually checked with him a few times. Said, are you sure? I'm like, yes. And so we're shutting it down.
Well, sources confirming to Fox that USAID headquarters are in fact closed today, coming as President Trump and, as you heard, Elon Musk agree the Agency for International Development needs to be shut down after failing to be transparent with their budget of billions. With us now, the former head of global health at USAID under President Biden, Atul Gawande. Thank you so much for being here. I want to put up your op-ed that you wrote in the New Yorker, the headline, "Beyond the Chaotic Attempt to Freeze Federal Assistance, the Potential for Devastation," you write, "is made plain by another order concerning the crucial work of USAID." You heard the criticism there about the budget and the spending. What's the response?
What's happening right now is dangerous for the United States and humanity. These are people shutting down an agency and having no clue the work that is being done. I'm a surgeon. I led global health at USAID, and I can tell you these are programs touching hundreds of millions of people around the world on a budget that's half the budget of the hospital where I do surgery. Let me give you some critical examples. Number one, in the last 4 years, USAID responded in containing 21 serious outbreaks of deadly diseases at risk of coming to the United States. There is an Ebola outbreak right now in Uganda that is killing people, and USAID, all activities have been shut down. That work is critical and is not even happening. There is an HIV. 20 million people, of whom 6.5 million are children with HIV, where the global program that USAID leads with other parts of the U.S. government has been shut down. Those are people whose medicines are required for them to stay alive. I can go on down the list: eradication of malaria and polio and so on. This is dangerous. Yeah. It is bad for American security.
There is, criticism of how some organizations, there are a number of organizations who get.
I'm sorry. I don't interrupt clips, but this is crazy. The fact that he's saying it's bad for humanity, it's bad for national security. And the things he's talking about is taxpayer money going abroad and handling other countries' issues. This is so. I'm actually surprised Fox is doing this. Good on them if they want to show both sides of things. Like, I understand it completely. You heard Elon Musk say what he said. You hear this guy say what he said. This guy is shockingly wrong. And it makes sense that he was the head or in a high position, and now he's saying all of this. But he couldn't be further from the truth. And also, what is happening right now is not they want it shut down completely, but there's also a lot of auditing that needs to happen. And we're going to talk about this more, but I just had to jump in there for a second. There's like a minute left. I'll just play a little bit and then we're going to move on.
Get money from USAID. The list, as you scroll through it, is a number of names that people are familiar with. But the budgeting of that and how that money is allocated has come under some significant criticism. And in fact, Brian Mast, congressman from Florida, head of the Foreign Affairs Committee, was on this weekend talking about it.
You want to authorize purging of State Department personnel? What does that mean exactly?
Well, if you want to take a look at the State Department, where DEI has been a priority over, let's say, diplomacy in many accounts, $500,000 to expand atheism in Nepal, $50,000 to do, let's see, a transgender opera in Colombia, $47,000 to do an LGBTQ trans comic book in Peru, $20,000 a pop to do drag shows in Ecuador. Shall I continue with more examples?
So overall, you're saying the spending, there are crucial things, and the closing of this agency is a real problem in the eyes. You say it's an advantage for the enemy. For the people who voted for President Trump and say you need to purge some of these programs, what do you say to them?
A top-to-bottom review of what is being done and a change in policies is a normal way of doing business, and that is appropriate in any administration. But a shutdown of work that is predominantly disaster assistance, it is global health, it's demining countries around the world, including Cambodia and Vietnam, so that agriculture can be resumed by farmers. That critical work affects millions, and the effort to shut it down, activities are already closed. People are being harmed as we speak, and the destruction of this agency leaves America without the largest civilian operational capacity for action abroad. You don't need to pause it, and there's no such thing as a pause of an airplane in flight.
This is all his examples are so off. All of his examples, airplane and flight, doesn't and believe you me, the things that he is talking about, the people who are being harmed. Now, not to sound callous, but he's not talking about American people. He's not talking about the citizens. And these are taxpayer dollars. To me, I'm sure there are some worthwhile things. I mean, it can't just be it can't just be everything of complete nonsense. And he also didn't address all of those crazy things that gentleman listed. And we're going to get back to those in a second. But this is not geared towards the American people. It seems irresponsible to take billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars and just push it outward crazily when, and I talk about this all the time, I've mentioned this, and if you watch the channel avidly, you probably know what I'm going to say, and to still have Kensington, Philadelphia the way it is, it seems so irresponsible. I don't know. Listen, we're going to get into what Trump thinks about this, and then we're going to get into some other things that are happening.
Okay. I hear we're doing very well with nominations. We'll see, but it looks like we're doing very well with nominations.
Mr. President, have you been involved with calling senators who had some concerns about Tulsi Gabbard or RFK? You have?
Yeah, I've gotten great response. And they want to do what's right, and we've had a good response. I think we'll do well. We have great people like this. We have great people coming in. I think I'd like to say the best ever recruited for government. I think we have the finest people ever recruited for government.
Will it take an act of Congress to...
And you know what? You're starting to see that because we've done more in 2 weeks than Biden's done in 5 years, 6 years. If they could be here between him and Obama, you add it up, okay? We've done more in 2 weeks than they've done in 12 years.
Will it take an act of Congress to do away with USAID, or do you believe you have the legal authority to do that?
No, not when it comes to fraud. If there's fraud, these people are lunatics. And if it comes to fraud, you wouldn't have an act of Congress. And I'm not sure that you would anyway. But we just want to do the right thing. It's something that should have been done a long time ago. It went crazy during the Biden administration. They went totally crazy what they were doing, and the money they were giving to people that shouldn't be getting it, and to agencies and others that shouldn't be getting it. It was a shame. So they're tremendous fraud. But we'll be doing a report. We'll be giving you that report at the appropriate time.
As you know, in the first term, though, USAID was something that you liked in some respects.
I love the concept.
Ivanka had some programs.
Sure. I love the concept, but they turned out to be radical left lunatics. And the concept of it is good, but it's all about the people.
Mr. President, you said you also want to impose tariffs on the EU. What kind of tariffs are you thinking?
So that's what Trump thinks about it. He, again, likes the concept, but does not like the people that are running it. This was very interesting when I saw this. And this is, I don't want to say an admission of guilt, but it's very interesting. The second that this guy who was appointed, can you guys see what I'm seeing? There you go. Perfect. So the second this guy was appointed, Hobson, he was appointed, and then two people in USAID were put on leave. The director of security, John Voorhees, and deputy Ryan McGill placed on leave. As soon as that happened, the agency of the chief of staff, he resigned. And this chief of staff, Hobson, he reported directly to the acting administrator, Jason Gray. Close to 100 USAID staff members have already been placed on leave, with the latest two reportedly linked to disputes with members of Doge. So basically what happened is that Doge tried to get access. They want to know what's going on. Doge is going from organization, and whoever's spending taxpayer dollars, whoever's spending money, period. Doge wants to know what you're spending the money on, what you do, how many people you have. It's efficiency. They want to know if you're being efficient. They were like, we're not giving you access to this. And Elon Musk is like, I'm going to get access. The guy resigns. He has to put people on leave. 100 people are put on leave. This all looks very bad. The second that you're called into question of what you're doing, people start resigning. You have to put people on leave in order to get them away, because they won't let you in to see what's going on. But people are starting to see what's going on, and it's pretty crazy. We're going to hear about that in the next few clips. Let's just play this one. It's a quick one, 15 seconds.
USAID, or what's going on there?
Well, it's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
We're getting them out. They gotta go. We're getting them out as soon as possible. Let's play another clip here, and then we're going to get into some ridiculousness.
This weekend, Musk also taking aim at the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, which is in charge of dispensing tens of billions of dollars in foreign aid. Musk writing USAID is a criminal organization. Time for it to die.
To be clear, in shutting down, which we're in the process of doing, shutting down USAID.
About 100 staffers were placed on leave after the agency refused to give Musk's team access to classified material. The team was eventually given that access. The Trump administration has already faced legal hurdles while pushing to gain more control of government spending. Just last week, Trump's executive action freezing federal grants and loans was blocked by the courts. Back to USAID, many staffers have lost access to their email and other accounts, and the agency's website was taken down. Critics are demanding to know why a group in charge of government efficiency needs to be conducting this apparent takeover of an agency.
People want to know why someone in charge of efficiency is allowed to go and see if things are efficient inside this agency. Very interesting take this ABC reporter has. Of course, it's ABC. But yeah, that's what Doge is going to do. They want to know what's going on. And the reason that they're locked out from their emails, I would imagine, is because they might just Hillary Clinton all of their emails. Maybe that's why. You ever think of that? Because if you're handing out millions of dollars for condoms in Gaza, you probably want to delete the email. You don't want to be seen as the person who is like, can I get 850 million condoms. Whoa, Sam. I mean, I'm going to say yes, but I'd love to know why. I just want to send them to Gaza. Is there any reason? I mean, I'm already sending you the money. It's fine, but it's very odd. Oh, I want to see what they do with the condoms. Oh, okay. So she's wondering why. And I'm not making that up. I think it's 830 million condoms, but I'm in the ballpark. Trust me. Anyways, let's get into this next clip. Again, more ridiculousness.
You're watching live coverage.
Through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
Viewers and the public audience, but it was important to the folks in the media to understand why, say, Hennepin County, which is our biggest county in Minnesota, that's...
Okay, so that's just something else. But yeah, that's all real. That's really happening. Again, let's see that. You can see those numbers there. 2.5 million DEI in Serbia. 70,000 on an Irish DEI musical. What's a DEI musical in Ireland? Are you going to, it's just different shades of white people and gingers? What do you do? I know there's a high Muslim population there. I know. You guys are seen. We see you. Very interesting. 47,000 on transgender operas. Now that I understand, actually, given how much makeup, is needed, the wigs, the costumes, drag makeup is often very, very excessive. The fact that they got it down to 47,000 is actually pretty solid. I mean, good job there, guys, honestly. And then a trans comic book in Peru. There's no way someone in Peru wants that. There's no way someone in Peru wants that. No way. I refuse to believe that. That's just something they want to do. And that's what it seems like. When you're looking at this, it seems like they're just pushing that same leftist ideology onto other countries. Now, every country has an elite and a poor. Every country has classes. Every country has their government. Every country has a left and a right. So I guess they're appealing to these countries' leftists, and they're helping them along, which is shocking because, again, American taxpayer money. Now let's go through some other things that they're spending on. This is actually posted by Wesley Hunt of Texas. He's a bad man. That guy is great. He's the only guy you'll see. He'll walk up in a suit, this nice and spiffy, cowboy boots on every time. That man is he's something else. Serve the country and everything. I can't wait. I want to see guys like him and Byron Donalds. I can't wait to see what their future looks like in the government, because they're young right now, but they're really tuned into what the American people want. Then he says it right here, like a child with your credit card. Here's what you funded, $20 million on Sesame Street in Iraq. Now let's let that simmer. Let that simmer for you real quick, okay? 56 million to boost tourism in Egypt and Tunisia, however you say that. Hey, Egypt. Take some pictures of the pyramids and that's it. You don't have anything else. It's fine. You got shawarmas and street food. Excellent, I've heard. And you got pyramids. You don't need $56 million to put that on a website. That's crazy. $40 million to build schools in Jordan. Okay. You know, like something like that. I hear that and I'm like, all right, that sounds great. But also remember, Kensington, Philadelphia exists. Remember, there are all sorts of people going through terrible times. There are schools, inner city schools in America that are falling apart, that need aid, they need help. And the fact that these people in Jordan are getting schools built, I have to say, as much as that sounds great, the scales they're not scaling properly. American people are getting left in the cold on this, man. They just are. $11 million to tell Vietnam to stop burning trash. Whoever made that negotiation, good job. Good job. Whichever person in Vietnam was like, we're burning garbage and we're not going to stop. And they got $11 million to stop. Good job. Good job. I don't know who you got on the phone. You got a bleeding heart liberal on the phone for sure. And you milked it. Good for you. I have to say, what was the negotiation like? They're just in Vietnam. Like, can you guys stop burning garbage? And the Vietnam people are like, no. Get the tires. No, we won't stop. No, we like to burn it. No, it's warm. It's warm and at night it's cold and we burn it. Yeah, no, we're going to keep burning it. And then whoever works for this company is just like, I'll give you $1 million to stop. And they're like, I don't think so. I like burning garbage. That's the thing about it. I'll give you $5 million. I don't know. Oh, we got some books. Can you pass me that book? What's this? DEI program book. Oh my God, please don't burn the DEI program book. I'm going to burn it. I think so. I'll give you $11 million to stop burning garbage. All right, you have a deal. And you know they turned around and they're still burning garbage because it's Vietnam. They do what they want. They're not going to stop just because you tell them to. $27 million for reintegration gift bags for deported Central Americans. Loot bags? Loot bags? What kind of loot bags are these? Handing out Gucci loot bags? You're handing out Gucci loot bags? What's inside of it? What are you putting inside? You putting bracelets in there? Putting Tiffany bracelets, Swarovski crystals inside of these loot bags? Here's your Gucci loot bag. Just when the cartel robs you, here you go. You just throw this at them and run away. It's worth thousands of dollars. What is in there? You know what's in there really? It's probably closer to a garbage bag. And it's probably filled with basic nothingness, the toothbrush and this and that. Probably basically nothing. And somebody just said, hey, we still got 26 million left over, boys. What are we doing with this? Let's go give it to Vietnam to make sure they're not burning garbage anymore. Oh, man. But who knows? It's either, and you tell me which one sounds more plausible. It's either Gucci loot bags or not much of a loot bag whatsoever. Of course, there's loot bags. This is America. You know, you got to be nice to people when you send them off. And a bunch of nothing loot bags, and there's just a bunch of money left over. Now, I'm not going to say what the money's for, okay? That's not my place. But there's a bunch left over. That's all I'm saying. But that's real. These are real things. I'm not making this up. This is actual. This is actual because the people in the government are starting to get reports of what's going on. Let's hear what she has to say about this. Here's some more ridiculousness.
More time to plan for the fact that they are about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding, at least for a period of time.
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working. And their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just during this pause, Doge and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million dollars that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
So this doesn't affect.
Told you, 50 million. Let me go up here. How many is that? 50 million buys roughly 830 million condoms. There are less than 1 million men in Gaza. This would make every man 83 Hey, listen. You gotta stay stocked up. You know what I mean? Are they at war or at a rave? Come on. That's wild, though. And I didn't even catch that clip before, but giving money to the WHO after you've been withdrawn, that's just a clear waste of money. That's not even, you couldn't even make that up. You're just giving that organization money for nothing. The US is not even a part of it anymore. So this is the reason why this has to be frozen. And I know that first person that I played the first clip of, he's like, this is like a plane in the sky and it's falling down and the sky's falling as well. And the Milky Way is going to come crashing down on Earth unless we stop all this and start handing out money. Sure. But it needs to be paused because she said it perfectly. The spending has to be in line with President Trump's agenda. And it has to be in line with the American people. And honestly, I would go a step further and be like, this has to be in line with the people whose tax dollars it is. Oh, man, like, think about the numbers that you're hearing. There could be so much done to so many inner cities with that money. There's so much that could be done, and there's so much that needs to be done. Are they still stripping the copper out of abandoned buildings in Detroit? Is that still happening? Dilapidated buildings that are like falling over? Because some parts of Detroit are just like rotting and that's it, and just left like that? Is that still going on? Like, come on, man. Palisades? There's stuff. There's Hawaii, East Palestine. There's stuff going on, man. I don't know. You know, I found this article very interesting because what she just said, this is what she found. She is a spokesperson for the White House. Their information is very good because they're in the White House. And they're the ones looking after all this. And Doge is a part, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so silly. But routers, I don't even care anymore. They're saying there's no evidence to this claim. It's funny because she is the White House press secretary. And what she says, when she finds something, it's real. She's not lying about what she's finding. And what she's finding, she's not going on Twitter and figuring things out. She's getting actual intel from the government. So the fact that, I know for a fact, if Karine, if she was still in, if she said something, they would be like, the White House has reported this is coming from the administration, from the federal government. And it would just be law, whatever she said. Biden's sharp as a tack, and I saw him do a backflip yesterday, and he picked me up over his head, and it was the most exhilarating thing ever. If she said that, it would be law. But somehow Caroline says what's been reported, and they're looking at that. This outlet is actually saying that this is a fact check, no evidence found. Very interesting the way that they're doing Trump. I mean, I expected it. I want Trump in office, but I expected this type of thing. But it's just very funny the way that and look at that, they put it right across her face. She's seen as no evidence to what she's saying. They would not treat Biden's press secretary like that. Not a chance. Let's listen to Mark Rubio. He is the acting director currently of USAID. And I can't wait to see what they uncover, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, President Trump even said they're looking for fraud. And I think, I won't say anything, but They might find it.
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct a sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars. And we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest. And so far, a lot of the people that work at USAID have just simply refused to cooperate.
Are you currently in charge of USAID?
I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And again, our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest. But if you go to mission after mission and embassy after embassy around the world, you will often find that in many cases, USAID is involved in programs that run counter to what we're trying to do in our national strategy with that country or with that region. That cannot continue. USAID is not an independent, non-governmental entity. It is an entity that spends taxpayer dollars, and it needs to spend it, as the statute says, in alignment with the policy directives that they get from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, and the President. And it's been 20 or 30 years where people have tried to reform it, and it refuses to reform. It refuses to cooperate. When we were in Congress, we couldn't even get answers to basic questions about programs. That will not continue. That's not going to continue.
Wow. I'm glad that he was the one to speak on this, because he can actually give insight. And just that last part he said, you couldn't even get answers on questions. I mean, I don't know. They could be disorganized. You know, if I wanted to be as charitable as I possibly could, they're just disorganized, so they couldn't answer certain questions. But also, everybody knows what it seems like. It seems like they're hiding something. What could they be hiding? It's just, wow. No wonder Elon Musk wants this whole thing shut down. I think, sorry for the overlap. I think Trump's going to call them lunatics again.
The first term, though, USAID was something that you liked in some respects.
I love the concept of it.
Had some programs.
Sure. I love the concept, but they turned out to be radical left lunatics.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry for the overlap there, guys. Now let's get into the people who are actually defending this whole thing. And of course, you're gonna see who's defending it. And I wonder why they're defending it.
Before our very eyes, an unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. Friday night, the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, led by billionaire Elon Musk, gained access to the Treasury Department's entire system of payments, including Social Security and Medicare benefits and Americans' tax refunds. I'll say more on this in a moment. But that was not all. This weekend, Doge staffers also executed what can only be described as an illegal seizure of the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. We don't know who these Doge staffers are. We don't know if they have security clearances. We don't know what legal authority they have to access USAID facilities, if any. But we do know a few things. First, we know USAID has been completely ripped apart. Its offices are closed. Its contracts have been broken. Funding for its programs, which protect American interests around the world, have been halted. And Secretary Rubio said in an interview that he's been named the acting administrator and that they are, quote, reviewing and potentially reorganizing USAID, unquote. But who's he kidding? There's virtually nothing left of USAID to review. Even the life-saving assistance he claims are exempt are not moving. Second, we know shutting down USAID puts American security in danger. USAID programs preserve America's influence in Africa, Asia, and regions across the world. Our humanitarian efforts are critical for fighting Ebola, which is spreading in Uganda right now. It's essential for countering terrorist activity. At the time of soaring egg prices, shutting off USAID programs that fight the global spread of bird flu is utterly asinine.
This is amazing. So, of course, Chuck Schumer, and, you know, everything gets reposted on X. This is a 9-minute clip. I'm not listening to Chuck Schumer for 9 minutes. I dare you. I challenge you to listen to Chuck Schumer for more than 9 minutes. That's crazy. So everything he's saying, like, it's so funny. He brings up the soaring price of eggs. The egg prices are soaring. Why are you investigating into this company? Just let it be. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. But for him to be saying, first of all, there are things that are exempt. There are certain things that are like completely life-saving, that they're actual life-saving, and they are exempt. Now, how I feel about that is neither here nor there. If it's going to another nation, fine. I guess that's the thing to do. But you can look around. I don't know where you're from. I don't know what state you're in, but you could look around. I'm sure you could think of places where a lot of this money could go. But Chuck Schumer, the same guy who sits back and does what he does with Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and what he's responsible for in terms of him not being in the race. And it's just funny, you know, the same guy who said, oh, you know, we want everybody to have a path to citizenship after they let so many people into the country. Now this guy's standing up for this. And of course, it's for the people. It's for the people. It's for influence. It's for counterterrorism. It does everything. It's very interesting. We have another Democrat here that's also fighting. This is Rep. Andy Kim standing in front of the offices, causing a huge spectacle along with some other, no name calling, along with some other people.
USAID was the first, but I can guarantee you it's not the last. And so this same playbook that they're using in terms of how they're trying to shut this down, how they're trying to prevent public servants from working and doing the work of our country, if we allow this to happen, it's going to just start to happen at other departments and agencies. So this is likely just the tip of the iceberg. USAID was the
so out of touch, he has no idea how many people stood up and applauded when he said that live. It's going to happen. When they're stopping the aid and stopping this flow of money where you have no idea where your tax dollars are going, if we stop it now, it's going to happen to other agencies. I mean, there's going to be a surplus of money and it might go to the American people. And then how do we keep them destabilized? Oh, what are we talking about here, guys? This is so silly. So silly. And I got to just go back to Chuck Schumer for a quick second. The nerve to call Doge a shadow government. Trump announces what Doge is. He asks Elon Musk in front of the world, would you do something with efficiency? Elon says yes in front of the world. Elon discusses starting the whole thing. Elon even gave Doge a Twitter profile, which you can go to and see everything that they're doing as they update you. He even is considering starting a podcast where they talk about everything that they're uncovering. And he has the nerve to call that a shadow government. You know what a shadow government is. This is coming from the same guy who said, you know, they have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you, while he just thinly layer the words escaping me. Thinly layer threatens Trump on Rachel Maddow's show. Has the nerve to say that this is a shadow government. Here's another one with a lot of nerve.
It is really, really a sad day in America. We are witnessing a constitutional crisis. We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are. This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like. When you gut the Constitution and you install yourself as the sole power, that is how dictators are made. What Trump and Elon and all of their cronies are trying to do is take away the constitutional power of Congress. We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
I love that. We decide where your money goes. And now he thinks he's going to decide that he's going to stop the flow of money. And he has the nerve, this dictator, to want to tell you where that money's been going. Oh, it's a sad day in the government when this happens. Sad for who? Sad for who? Sad for who? Come on, this is ridiculous. I'm going to play maybe 10 more seconds. Again, it's all reposted on.
When we talk about civil servants being let go, what we are talking about is not saving money. It's essentially saying they can get paid while they're home and their work doesn't get done on behalf of the American people. It is us, taxpayers, who are being ripped off. It is us, taxpayers, who are not getting the resources that we paid into. So I ask the American people, do you want people at home and getting a paycheck and not providing services to you? The answer is no.
Yeah, you better make that a rhetorical question, because believe you me, a lot of people want to answer. A lot of people want to answer to this lady, man. Absolutely ridiculous. What she's talking about is Trump getting rid of federal workers, shrinks the size of the government, which means less money goes in. Yes, they get a payout, but that's him trying to be, I guess, charitable. And I guess it's a severance package. They're probably entitled to something of that nature. I think that's why he's choosing 7 months. I think it's a minimum of 7 months that they have to pay you if you have a severance package. And it could be more, it could be less. I'm not 100%. I've heard 7 from many people in my life. But the fact that he's doing that, it's being very charitable. But let's get you out of here because you want to work at home and we can't even verify that you're working. And we can't verify whether or not you have another job. So we might as well, if you're refusing to come into the office because you still have a job and you can still come in and work for years and years and years, but you just have to come into the office. For her to be like, oh, ripped off and this and that. It's like, what are you talking? Just come into the office. Jeez, this is ridiculous. Of course, we're moving on. There's only so long I can watch this lady. Elon Musk, I believe it was Elon, saw this post. And he said, she's a major grifter and hates America. I could not agree more. And I'm going to make that case by showing you this clip. This lady does not have the American people in her interests at all. You can see here, I'm going to play this. She's speaking another language, so I'm just going to play it without the audio. Let me just mute this. But you can see here, my answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. Wild to say this. So again, she's speaking another language, so I'm just going to mute it and I'll read it. So she's saying this to a crowd of Somalian people right now. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interests of Somalia. She's an American politician, just so you know, not an ambassador for Somalia. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves that we call the shots in the U.S. This is real. We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. Have a real voice for what happens in the U.S. as a taxpayer, not outside the U.S. The U.S. is a country where one of our daughters, she's talking about herself, is in Congress to represent your interests. And then this last part that she says, for as long as I am in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters, the Indian Ocean, will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. This last part, she says, is just wild. Just wild. The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia or steal land or oceans. Sleep in comfort, knowing I am here to protect the interests of Somalia inside the U.S. system. American politician, by the way. American politician. The women, myself, you sent to Congress is working day and night to protect your interests. This is what a politician is supposed to say to all Americans. She's making sure to say it to only one people. Now, I will say, let me see what else she has to say. She knows your plight and that of Somalia. She's supposed to be saying this to all Americans. She's saying it to one people, and she's fighting tooth and nail to protect this organization where they don't even want to answer where all their money's going. I'm not even trying to connect the dots. It's pretty easy with this lady. So when Elon Musk says this lady's a grifter, she's lying to somebody. She's either lying to them or she's lying to the American citizens. It's one of the two. I am as concerned about Somalia as you guys are. She hasn't said one thing about America or American soil. Together, we will protect the interests of Somalia. I got no issues with Somalians. I have no issue whatsoever with Somalians. But that right there is a U.S. That person is from the USA, or not even from, but she's a politician in the American government. And she's talking about protecting the interests of another place. That's a huge, huge issue. So when Elon Musk says she's a grifter, you better believe it. Now, and I'm saying it too. And then last but not least, Jamie Raskin. And again, it's like he didn't even hear what she said about a dictator. Listen to what this guy says.
You didn't create Usaid. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create Usaid, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that. Under Article 1.
That's crazy that he just said that. We control the money, and we created this organization. And that organization doesn't tell the American taxpayers where their own money is going. That's us. We do that, not you dictators.
Of the Constitution. And just like the president who is elected to something cannot impound the money of the people, we don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk. And that's going to become real clear.
This is crazy. The way that they always spin it towards the American people, like they're doing all this for them. Trump is literally putting a freeze so he can see if the money is going into the right places to actually aid American interests. And if it's not, and let's just say out of the 5 billion or however many billions they have, let's say there's some kind of surplus. Let's say you've served all the interests. Well, Trump's trying to redirect that money to the American people. He's been trying to do that. He's been accomplishing and trying to accomplish that day after day, signing all these executive orders. All that's happening right now that these guys are up in arms about is an audit. That's what's happening. They're being audited, and this is how they react. They're flipping out because they're being audited and called out. And that is a situation with USAID. And they try to confuse you by calling it USAID. It does something in your mind. It makes it sound like it's a good thing. But we're not even sure if it's a good thing because we're not completely sure where the money's going. But where we do know it's going is for weird things like comic books and operas and all sorts of odd things in all sorts of other countries. Anyways, I just wanted to bring all that to you. We're going long on this episode, ended at 50 minutes here. Just wanted to bring you all that information. I can't wait to see what else Elon Musk and Trump uncover with this whole thing. And I hope this money starts going to the American people, to be honest. Anyways, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Helps the channel tremendously. Other than that, I'm out.